The world is a very strange place, and it contains a lot of people with different personalities and unique conditions. Some of these conditions are very rare that it will be hard to believe until you see it. So with that being said, let's look at 10 people you never knew existed. At number 10, we have a young boy with half a body. Yes, Jinpei. Jinpei was born with a rare congenital disorder which rendered the lower part of his body useless. With a condition like this, he suffered all the bullying he could get in school and was even rejected in some schools. To make matters worse, his father left him when he was just a boy, but he didn't let all that weight weigh him down, and despite his half body, he has served as an inspiration to disabled and handicapped people out there. His mother was left alone to take care of him, and she said that he was born through a C-section, and immediately after birth, the doctor noticed the condition and said that he needed to cut one of his legs, but they couldn't afford it, and his father didn't want to be seen as a man who produced a son with no legs, so he left. But his mother accepted his fate and stayed to take care of him rather than dumping him. He was bullied often, mostly because he couldn't retaliate and he couldn't play with other kids, but still he found a way to utilize his arms to perform skills on the streets, which has provided for him and his mother on occasions when they were left with nothing. His dream is to go to school and become like other children, whether normal or not. Next up at number 9, we have got 2 kids in Rwanda who are both one of the heaviest kids alive. The family is facing a huge challenge as the 2 kids are increasing daily in size. These kids were born normal, but they began to increase so much in size as they grew. The first of the 2 is a boy who was born successfully through a natural birth, but he kept on increasing both in weight and in stature and weighs as much as 220 pounds when he was just 5 years old. He grows daily in size and is so much that he can add about 2 kilos within an hour. Sometimes his gets must wash, he can't even stand or walk and has to be lifted almost everywhere he wants to go. He looks big and even one person can't even lift him alone. His weight and size is equivalent to 6 children of his age. He rarely talks because of his massive neck fat that blocks his neck, and so it's difficult to speak often. His sister, a 1-year-old child, is also fat and weighs a lot just like her brother. The family has carried on various interviews that no hospital has been able to diagnose their condition for treatment, and they have searched all over. The mother of 2 children said that her son was born with 2.5 kilos, and in his first month, his life condition was pretty normal, but between 6 to 9 months, things started becoming unreal. He started increasing from day to day to the extent that he weighed 30 kilos, which is 66 pounds, to when he weighed over 200 pounds at just 5 years. Number 8, we have an elderly woman identified as Amina who has no natural face and breathes through her abnormal mouth. Yes, you heard that right. She has lived for around 80 years with that condition, and it got a lot of people asking how she has survived through it all these years. The weirdest thing you will ever imagine is a life without face, no nose and no eyes, but that's exactly the case of Amina, and it has been a life of hell for her. Amina was born a year before the Second World War and was born that way. However, her parents tried everything to help as a tumor grew covering her face. People always called her a beast and will run away from her out of fear. She has lived a terrible life since birth till now and has a hearing problem, but she maintains a good life and has people around who cares for her, and she's living her life despite being different. Moving on to number 7, we have 3 extraordinary men who have lived a long life but in an awkward way. They were born in a large normal family, but the trio were born with primordial dwarfism. This means that they were not like everyone in terms of height and body size, but that hasn't stopped them from living their life. Interestingly, they all live together bearing the title as the smallest people in their region, and even though it's not the best conditions, they still move on daily. They still have future plans like getting good jobs and starting a family, and they look determined to achieve that. They live together in a cave-like little house and sleep together on the same bed, but hopes that things will get better. They also never fail to go about with smiles on their faces. Number 6, we have a bit of an emotional one as we encounter a woman and her brave 8-year-old son named Obed. The woman had a huge leg tumor that rendered her immobile, and everyone left her, including her husband and family members. But her little boy remained to assume the role of a caretaker to his mom. He dropped out of school and missed out on other activities as kids his age normally do, so he could cook and do other house chores in place for his mom. This condition wasn't always like this, as the mother had a normal life like everyone while growing up and even married, but in her 20s started noticing her legs swell, and although it looked like it was nothing, but it grew and grew until it became a problem. Fortunately, after the public became aware of their condition months back, they sought out help with contributions. She went to surgery and had her leg amputated, and though she lost a leg, things returned a little normal. Her son can now go to school and do other things. Number 5, we meet Eunice Julius, a 3-year-old Tanzania girl who is said to have supernatural powers that includes healing diseases, casting out demons, and protecting people from madness. Young Eunice is said to be able to heal chronic and hereditary diseases such as cancer and diabetes, and even deadly diseases that doctors are unable to treat. She's also said to rebuke curses and evil spirits. Interestingly, she's said to have spent 3 years in her mother's womb and began speaking at 7 months old. Many people have brought testimonies of how she healed them with the ability to turn ordinary water into holy water. Eunice's mother said that many people are not happy about her daughter's powers and that several attempts has been made to poison her or attack her spiritually. However, they have been all unsuccessful as Eunice sees them in a trance. She is the last born of 11 children, but her mother says that she behaves like an adult, for which they believe she is an ancestor or a reincarnation. Number 4, we have a girl who has suffered one of the most unimaginable fates ever. Her name is Maria, and when videos of her condition were posted on the internet, it drew a lot of reaction. That's because her body has been twisted in a very bad way that the only way she could move is backwards with one arm and legs, which makes moving very difficult. Her mother said it wasn't like this as Maria is the eldest of 2 daughters and she grew up as a normal child, but one day everything took a turn for the worse and it has been hell for her since. Her neck looks broken and so to her spine, and it's a mystery how she manages to hold on all these years as she's currently over 30 according to her mother. Number 3, we have a case of 2 twins, and not just regular twins. They were born with the nightmare that most parents wouldn't want for their children. They were conjoined at birth. The 2 twins born in Burundi were born with their belly jointed together. The parents sought for help to take them to surgery for separation. After a year, they got help from various groups to embark on the surgery in Italy. Pre-birth, everything seemed fine until their mother was told one was in awkward position when she went for an ultrasound, and their worst fear were confirmed when the babies, a boy and a girl, were born joined together and one couldn't breathe without an oxygen tank. Unfortunately, their flight to Italy was delayed, and just a few days later, the babies breathed their last breath. At number 2, we have yet another man without legs but has found a way of moving on his own. Meet David, a disabled man who still remembers how to smile, but the story of how he lost his leg are quite horrifying and nothing to smile about. According to him, he was born in an abusive home with his parents always fighting, and his mom had to live with some of his disabilities, but he and others remained with their abusive father who wanted to take the land their mother left for David and his siblings. David later married and settled on the land, and out of rage and jealousy, his father attacked him viciously one day and used a machete to cut off his legs to kill him. It's really sad and inhumane to think that someone will do this to anyone, much less his own son. But David still found a way to move on and live his life even though disabled. Finally, at number 1, we have a child born different with an abnormal shape of the head. You can't begin to comprehend the pain the young child has to pass through. Same with the mother, as people even bullied him, calling him an alien. What's worse is that even the baby's father joined in the bullying, saying that he was a monster and not his offspring, and his mother should go and give the baby back to the devil. Many people run away at the sight of the baby because of his looks. The mother can't do anything about the pain of her child and it breaks her heart. She's asking for support to know how she can help her son get better. So if you enjoyed this video, kindly hit the subscribe button and click on the end screen on your left to watch the 10 strangest people to ever exist in Nigeria.